If you're anything like me, you like to know the answer about everything. I really like to know why things are happening, what the purpose is. So, when you talk about the loss of innocent life, it's something I have a really hard time wrapping my head around. Unfortunately, I know that loss all too well. I've had two miscarriages, both at very different times in my life, but both equally as devastating. Because as I've said on this podcast multiple times, I believe every life matters. And by life, I think life starts at conception. This episode is not political. This intro is not meant to be political at all, but I do believe that every life is divinely created, and I do believe every life has purpose and matters. So when I heard of the Cooper Project, I was so excited to share her story and her mission with you. I know so many people have gone through loss at all different stages of pregnancy. And I know plenty of people, and one is too many, that have lost children, whether it's during pregnancy, at delivery, early on in infancy, later in childhood. It's not a pain that I would wish on my worst enemy. The grief of losing a child is something that changes you forever. And as you'll see with Jen, she's taken that pain and turned it into purpose. And her son Cooper, though he never got to run around and play with his siblings or enjoy childhood on this earth, he's touching lives. Jen is using his life to touch others in a way that is just, it's beautiful. There's community, there's peace and grace we can find in one another's stories, and just the solidarity we have as moms that have gone through loss at any stage. It's a club you've never wanted to join, like I've said about diabetes as well. But if you have to join a club, this one has some of the greatest, most remarkable, strongest warrior women you will ever find. And Jen is no exception to that rule. You're going to hear all about the Cooper Project. And at the end, I'm going to link to her website where you can participate in the project. You can donate, which I hope you do. I would encourage you to do, because I think that even something as small as a little bracelet can bring so much joy, so much healing, and so much love, more than you can even imagine. So here we go. Episode 7 of Jesus, Coffee, and Wine with Jen Chappell and the Cooper Project. Hi, Jen.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on. So one thing is, like, we've met and are acquaintances, but your brother and my husband are like besties.
Yeah.
And I love their little bromance they have going on.
Yeah.
But we've chatted at baseball games and we're connected on social media. And I was introduced to the Cooper Project, which is why you're here today, to talk a little bit about your story and that organization that you founded. And it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And I know so many people listening out of my, 20 listeners, maybe I'm up to, but no, I think that it's important to share these stories so that we all, those of us that have experienced pregnancy and infant loss, and that we know we're not alone, and that, it's the more we're able to talk about our babies and talk about our stories and share their lives,
Yeah, for sure.
it brings healing. So I would love for you to kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story and how we got to the Cooper Project, and then what the Cooper Project is and how we can help.
Yeah. Well, yeah, awesome. Thank you, first of all, so much for having me on.
Yeah.
And I want to remind you that we also danced together to In Sync at a wedding once. We can add that.
Yeah, so
to
we are
our-
very close. Yes. And there's another wedding coming up that my husband and I are practicing for.
Oh,
just
yes. Okay.
For the
we gotta
record.
Definitely have to have In Sync again. At
Yep,
that
yep.
wedding.
I
But,
love it.
Yeah, my name is Jen, and I have an organization called the Cooper Project, a business called the Cooper Project. It is named after my son Cooper, our third born child, who we he was stillborn, so we lost him at 38 weeks. And yeah, this was almost, well, 9 years ago now, so it's been quite
Mhm.
a while.
Mhm.
So, there was many years where I couldn't even talk about it like I'm talking about it
Sure.
now, but, now I'm able to just kinda talk about it, and I started this organization, and it's just really kind of, been very healing for me, and
Mhm.
it's, gotten me more involved in the community and just the pregnancy and infant loss community itself, so it's
Yeah.
been really cool to see. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I will well, first, I just wanna say too, I don't know, the very first episode I did of Jesus Coffee and Wine, I had my dear friend Annette on, and she lost her son Judah. It was her first child, and very similar to you, it was the end of her pregnancy. She was 9
Mhm.
months pregnant, and
Yeah.
so very unexpected. At that point in a pregnancy, you are not only prepared and have potentially probably a nursery ready and your
Mhm.
lives ready, but it's go time.
Yeah.
So for everything to kind of seemingly be ripped away in that time, I not only do I know Nanette in that situation, I know you have been in that situation. Cousin and dear friend Nicole has been in that situation similar, and as someone who's gone through multiple miscarriages, I feel like I share in that pain and that
Mm,
understanding like 10%, like
mm,
10%. And because there is a difference, but at the same time, as moms, we carry those lives with us forever. It's
yeah.
physiological as well.
It is,
So
yeah.
I mean, I first of all, I just want to say I'm so sorry,
Thank you.
because as a mom, we
Mhm.
all carry those burdens and that pain, and
Mhm. Yeah.
it's not something you ever want to experience or wish on anyone else. But
No.
to turn that pain into something like the Cooper Project,
Mhm.
um, I think is just such a beautiful channel of how you're using that pain for purpose. And so I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit. And
Yeah.
also share as much as you feel comfortable with sharing just about Cooper and that season and how you got here.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to. As you said, just so many people go through similar things. And so the thing about me, Cooper was our third pregnancy. So
Mhm.
I had two very, very easy pregnancies before this. Easy textbook, like
Mhm.
no complications. So we had planned for Cooper. We wanted another
Mhm.
baby. So we were ready. And I had a pretty normal pregnancy with him, but then I had I call it like a slight complication that
Mm,
I really feel was downplayed by the doctors at this point, but I feel like a lot of times in pregnancy there are complications and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. It's going to be fine."
sure.
That's what I was told the whole time, that everything was fine. We were
Mhm.
good. And I did have like extra, NSTs, what those are. Do you know what those
Mm.
are? Like,
I slightly, but if you don't
yeah.
mind kind of explaining.
Sure, it's just like when they monitor you, they put the
Mhm.
belly band on, and they just, like, monitor
Non-stress
you.
test, right?
Yes, NST is
Yeah.
non-stress, yes. So I would have extras of those, but the whole time, there was never any talk, like, that something could go wrong. It was just like,
Mhm.
"We're just gonna monitor you, and everything's gonna be good." And,
Can I
I
ask what the concern was? Like, was
Oh,
there,
sure.
like,
Yeah,
decreased
so
fetal movement? Was there a
no,
concern with heart rate?
I had too much amniotic fluid,
Okay.
okay? So it's called
Mhm.
polyhydramnios. A lot of people are familiar when you have not a lot of fluid, like that's a common
Yep.
concern, and
Sure.
oftentimes they will induce for that, but for too much fluid, they don't induce for that. They don't do
Mm.
anything for it. And in hindsight, I googled it, and there
Yeah.
are lots of complications with it, but
Sure.
I just wasn't told, and they just said, "You have an extra fluid, that's it." So,
And
we
was
didn't
that something that you I'm sorry to interrupt.
You're good.
Was that something that they discovered at 38 weeks or close to, or was that something you had kind of been monitoring from
That's a
earlier
good
on?
question. They discovered it at 33 weeks.
Okay.
So, I was
So
33
still
weeks.
fairly
It
far
is.
along. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was getting, like, short of breath, which is
Mhm.
common in pregnancy,
Sure.
but it felt like it was a little more than my other 2 kids.
Mhm.
So I went to the doctor, and then that's when they did the ultrasound. You find it on an ultrasound because they
Mhm.
measure the fluid.
Yep.
So they were just saying, like, "We're just gonna monitor you a little bit more. That's all we're gonna do."
Yeah.
So I trusted that, and, you know, at 38 weeks, I was actually in the office signing papers because they were going to induce me in 6
Mm.
days. So they were gonna induce me. I was signing papers, and then, this is crazy, like, they listened to his heartbeat. It was
Mhm.
there,
Yeah.
141 beats per minute. I remember it. Good to
You don't
go.
forget those kinds of things,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then, like, I don't know if this is too much to say on the podcast, but you know how they'll do, like, an internal exam and,
Sure, yeah.
like, so she gave me an internal exam, and then I remember, like, when she did that, he started, like, moving like crazy,
Mm.
like he's never moved before, like, really going nuts, and I
Okay.
even said to her, I go, "Oh, I think you made him mad," and she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
ha ha," and then immediately after that, I had that non-stress test,
Mhm.
and the nurse came in, she hooked me up to the monitor, and she couldn't find his heartbeat, and she's like, "Well, that's weird. We just heard it, no big deal." So she's, like,
Yeah.
searching around, can't find it, and then I can see her start to get nervous, and then she goes and gets the doctor that I just saw. The doctor comes back in, and she goes, "No, we just had his heartbeat, it's no big deal." So she's
Mm.
looking for it, she can't find it, and then she's like, "Okay, we don't have time to call an ambulance. Get in my car, we're driving to the hospital."
The doctor.
The doctor drove me to the hospital.
My
Yeah.
goodness.
So, I mean, I remember the hospital ride with her. I didn't know her. It was nuts. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
she's like asking me in the car, "What did you have for lunch?" And I'm like, "I'm
What?
not." I'm like, "I can't
Yeah,
small
like,
talk with you right now." Right? Yeah.
where was your husband?
My husband was at work. So
Okay.
I
He
remember,
was gonna meet you there or
yeah, because she said, "We don't have time. There's no time." So
Mhm.
I just called him on the way and I said, "I think there's something wrong and you need to meet me at the hospital."
Yeah,
And then I hate it.
I
But,
know.
so he drove up there. I think I called my dad because my mom had my kids, and I knew if I called
Mhm.
my mom, like, I wouldn't be able to, like, talk. So
Yeah.
I just called my dad and I said, "I think you guys should come to the hospital." I really, in that moment, was, like, praying, and
Yeah.
I really felt like everything was going to be okay.
Mm.
So, when I learned that it wasn't, like, that's something I had to wrestle with later, and we can always talk
Sure.
about that, but,
Yeah.
I got to the hospital, got brought right into a room, and they brought the heartbeat checker in again, and they said, "I'm
Mhm.
so sorry, he's gone." So,
Just like that.
just like that, yeah, and
Was
I
your
remember.
husband with you yet? You were
No,
alone?
actually, it's funny, I they came in and they checked, and I can't remember what they said, like, "Do you wanna know or something?" And I remember crying, and I said, "I can't have you tell me that my baby's dead when my husband is here." I said,
Oh
"When
my
my husband
god.
isn't here yet," I said, I cannot be all alone when I hear this." And they said, "Do you want me to wait?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I need to know." So they said, "I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, he's gone."
Oh my gosh.
It's awful, it really is. So
I can't even imagine, Jen. I can't
yeah, and
I
and like you said, I had everything ready. I had a hospital bag. I had
Sure.
sheets washed, clothes put away. We were ready.
Yeah.
So it just I had never, like, call it naive, or I don't know. I didn't know that this stuff still happened. It
It's one of those things that even going through miscarriages, I don't know
mm,
if you've had any other losses, but even going through miscarriages, so I lost my first pregnancy
mhm.
before I had my older 2 children, and then I had a subsequent miscarriage before I had Ruby. But when I had my first miscarriage, I remember being in the ultrasound room with the ultrasound tech who was, in my memory, very callous and like, "Yeah, there's no heartbeat." I don't know what to tell you because I was like 9 weeks, but it was my first pregnancy,
Right.
and I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I
Mhm.
had heard the word miscarriage. I actually my aunts had and my mom had told me that my grandmother had had one, but for me, it was such a abstract's the wrong word. It just was not something common.
Yeah.
The 1 in 4 number was never something that was taught to me, let alone registered. So
Yeah.
when you're going through that and when you're told that a life is gone that you are fully in love with and fully planning for, whether you're at 9 weeks or 9 months,
Yeah. It's
the
awful.
shock to your system is it's unimaginable, and there's certainly no words for it, but I remember in that time thinking, "Why, pardon my French, the
Mhm.
hell
Yeah.
didn't they tell us this? Why did I
Yeah.
not know this is something I should be thinking about or worried about? Why did they tell me if I looked at a man in high school that I would get pregnant?" And here I am, I did things the right way. I married. We
Right.
planned
Right.
on having a baby, and now it's you're taking it from me. Like that's how it
Yeah.
felt.
Right.
And so, if I felt that over a miscarriage, I can't imagine the emotions of feeling like, what do you? How do you even process? Right? How do you
Yeah.
even process that in the moment of what do you mean? But of course, this
Yeah.
can't be happening.
Right. It's crazy. It was very, like, out of body experience.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
I just remember thinking, like, I remember, like, just, I don't know, like, rationally thinking, I go, "Well, this is going to be the worst day of my life." Like, I was just sitting there
Yeah.
thinking that.
No, as a believer,
Yeah.
as somebody who is a Christian and grown up in a Christian household, and as you said, you
Mhm.
were praying and had this peace to wrestle with that and to kind of we can go back to what you mentioned that you had to, process through and wrestle with that yourself. Like how do you and I guess it's rhetorical because I don't even know I don't expect you to have an answer, but maybe you do.
Yeah.
How do you resolve that with your faith when you're in those situations and you've been taught your whole life to trust God and to call on the name of Jesus and to
Yeah.
say, especially in these dark times, how do you wrestle with that? How do you come through with any faith?
Yeah. It's hard, and I, like, same as you, grew up in church, grew up just knowing the Lord and just believing that he's faithful in all circumstances, and that's something that I said all the time,
Mhm.
and then when this happened, it's like, "Okay, well, do I really believe that?" And
Yeah.
and I really had to come to terms with, like, and this is just my personal journey, like, I think one of the worst phrases that people say and people can use, especially Christians, is everything happens for a reason.
Mm.
So people would tell me that all the time. Everything happens for a reason. And I would say, my baby died for a reason. Like, what reason? Can you give me a
Mhm.
reason? Because
Yep.
can it be used for good? Yes, but that's different. Like, that's not,
Totally.
that's completely different. So I really had to come to terms with, like, I think that there's some things that I think that God uses everything for good. I don't think that he orchestrates certain bad things, like, on purpose. I think things
I
happen
agree.
because we live in a fallen world and we have broken bodies and people die and babies die and that happens. So
Yep.
so that kind of really became, like, truth to me, that I don't think God sat up there and said, "Hey, Jen's baby's gonna die today and I'm
Mhm.
let's do this.
I'm
Let's go."
causing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he was grieving with me. I think that he
Yeah.
was sad, and then I think that he used it for good later on, and that's I don't know.
Yeah,
That's really who I am.
I've wrestled with that as well, and I think
Yeah.
to your point, and I again had this conversation with my friend Annette that
Mhm.
it's the verse is I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. But it is it in Romans 8:28 for he
All
uses
things
all
are
things together for the good
yeah,
of those who love him.
yeah.
Right? It's Romans 8:28. And a lot of people misrepresent that verse and
Mhm.
say, well, he uses all things together. He uses all things for good.
Yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily for good. It's for the good of those who love him. And I've had to come to terms with, at least for me, reconciling that as it might not be good that I get to see this side of heaven.
Mhm.
So I can't always make sense of the
Yeah.
things that happen, and maybe he can use the events that happen in our lives
Mhm.
and even in recent events in the world that we're seeing happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how you make good out of it.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that we serve a sovereign faithful God, and
Mhm.
I have to choose to have faith and
Right.
believe that he has a plan and a purpose that is bigger and greater than the plan of darkness and of the enemy and of death.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
that's so good.
I know that those things are hard for people, especially non-believers, or maybe not even non-believers, but people that aren't in the church, and it sounds church speaky,
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, it's really just choosing to trust that God is in control
yeah,
and that he is faithful. And
yeah.
outside of that, there's too much that we can't wrap our heads around.
Right, and I think too, this was, like, a really good reminder for me as far as, like, parenting too, because I was brought up with such, like, strong faith, and I was,
Mhm.
memorized the scripture, God is faithful, and it
Mhm.
was almost just, like, so ingrained in me that these were the things that were coming out when I was going through this awful time. So
Mhm.
it was like a reminder to me to parent my kids this way, because
Yeah.
if I'm instilling these things in them now, like later on when they go into a hard time, like it's just going to be second nature to them. Like they're going to be
Sure.
saying that God is faithful even when they don't feel he is. So
Mhm.
I thought that that was really good, that I was like blessed enough to be brought up that way, and be
Mhm.
just a reminder to do that the same for my kids.
Yeah, I mean, I wanna ask you a vulnerable question. Feel free
Sure.
to tell me to pound salt, and I can cut this out if you hate it.
Take some water for
But
this one.
was there a season, and maybe a season that you came out of, or maybe this didn't happen for you, but do you feel there was a time that you kind of had to step away and go, "God, I don't know what I believe. I don't know if I can trust you right now. I don't know if I believe you're good." When you're going through
Hmm.
some of the darkest days and moments of your life, when you're walking through losing a child so inexplicably and
Yeah.
so unexpected, do you feel that you went through kind of like a dark period in that, or do you feel like you held on to your faith through it no matter what?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. So, I would say, like, I knew, like, deep down that I would not, like, walk away from God. I knew that he was faithful, but I remember telling my husband, like, "I know all these things, but I'm mad and I have
Yeah.
questions."
Yep.
So, like, I really took a lot of time. I went to counseling, like, I
Mhm.
read books. I really tried to, like, work my way through it so that,
Mhm.
I didn't have all these I didn't want that to happen, I guess.
Sure.
I didn't
Sure.
want to, like, be mad at God forever. I think God's big enough to handle our questions and our
Mhm. Our
doubts
tantrums.
and our yeah, and, like, I'm mad, like, and I just remember saying that for months, like,
Yeah.
I'm good, but I'm mad." So,
Yeah, yeah. I feel like when I went through my miscarriage the
yeah.
first time, I held on really tightly to my faith, and I was like, "I don't understand, but I trust God, and
Yeah,
this is hard, but I trust God," and but when I went through the second miscarriage, which was much more recent,
yeah,
because that pregnancy was such a surprise,
yeah.
and it was so it's such like a in a difficult season.
Mhm.
Transparently, that was the first time in my whole life I had ever really come close to questioning my faith. Like,
Yeah,
I still never walked away from it, but
yeah.
that was probably one of the hardest seasons where I just went, "Lord, I don't know if I can continue
Mhm.
to believe in all of the things I've always held on to. I don't
Yeah,
know if I can continue to trust you because this hurts too much. This doesn't make any sense to me. I can't therapize it away.
yeah,
I think I just made up that word, but, I can't just sit and pray." And people handed me books and
yeah,
talked to me through it, and I had pastor friends that encouraged me and would talk to me, and I felt so stuck for a very
yeah,
short season. In hindsight, it was
yeah,
a very short season, but that was difficult.
yeah.
So, going through anything like that, it's difficult, but to hang on to our faith even by a thread.
Mhm.
If we'll just hang on, I feel like he
Yeah,
can pull us up out
yeah,
of out of all of it.
yeah, definitely. It's just it's so hard, and I wouldn't even, like, misc some what's the word? What's the word? Like, your miscarriage, like,
Mhm.
miscarriages matter as well. Like, I just wanna say that because, like, I
Well,
know
thank you.
you've said a couple times, like, it's not the same. Like, I know that as moms, like, the second we see the pink lines, that's our baby. Like,
Yeah,
it's hard no matter what, and,
for sure. And I've known people that have gone through it at every stage.
yeah.
Um And no matter what, it hurts and it's painful, and I went to a service, I think it was maybe 8 or 9 years ago, where there was a speaker that came through, and it was a women's conference, and it was at a local church, and she said, "I want everybody who's lost a child to stand up."
Mhm.
And all these women stood up, and I just sat there in the pew sobbing.
Yeah.
And my friend next to me, who didn't have any children at the time, but she said, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Stand up."
Mhm.
And I was like, I can't." And she was
Yeah.
like, "You need to stand up."
No.
And I just felt like in that moment, the Lord really brought some healing to me in that way, as much as I still do, because I want to be respectful of your experience, and the friends and family I have that have had a more similar to your experience than mine.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be disrespectful in comparing my situation, but that moment did mean a lot to me, because it was like, no, but every life, and this goes back to a much bigger issue that we don't
Yeah.
have to get political, but
Right.
every life has value.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's always been something so important to me, and something I've been so passionate about, that every single life from the moment of conception has value.
Yeah.
And so I think that those emotions that I felt for the 2 babies I lost in the first
Mhm.
trimester,
Yeah.
there's still that connection,
Mhm.
and there's a reason for that. That's the God has designed life that way.
Yeah, you don't forget it ever, you just can't,
No,
you know?
you can't.
Uh,
You can't. So given all of that experience with Cooper,
yeah.
you have what explain the Cooper project and how you got here and what it is, and
Yeah,
how you're blessing so many women, and I want to
sure.
hear all of it.
So it started I was it's very random actually. Like I was at home, I was on maternity leave and I did not have a baby to take care of. Um
Mm,
still you still get some sort of leave when you have to physically labor a baby even if there
yeah.
isn't a baby.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, so I was at home, I was mad, I didn't have much to do, I was grieving, and I actually went out to lunch with a friend, and she had a really cute necklace on, and it had
Mhm.
her baby's name on it, and I said, "You know what? I'm bored, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna order supplies, and I'm gonna make one." So, I did that, I'm not crafty
Yeah.
at all, so I don't know, like, where I came up with this idea, it was just so weird, and I decided to make myself a necklace with Cooper's name
Mhm.
on it because I felt like that it's close to my heart, like, that
Mhm.
would make me feel better. And it did make me feel better.
Mhm.
So, at that point, I had went a couple times to, like, a local support group. They had, like, a local pregnancy and infant loss support group. So I went a couple
Mhm.
times, and I told all the girls there, "I'm gonna make you all a necklace with your baby's name on it." So they were like, "Oh,
Oh.
yay." So it
Now, when
kind
you
of
say
just
make a necklace,
yeah,
what did you like, what kind of necklace? Like, were you using beads? Like, what did you
that is a
make?
great question. You are so good at interviewing.
This this is just my curious mind.
Yeah. No, I should have brought one over because one of my original ones, you know, the, like, metal bar necklaces?
Yeah, well, I don't, I mean, not everyone's watching, but, like,
Okay.
if this is, I have a ruby necklace here.
Yes, I
But do you
love
mean just
that.
the straight bar that has
So
the
the
names, like,
straight
etched?
bar yep, and what I did was bought metal stamps and a hammer, and then you hammer a letter in one at a time.
Oh my, get
Yeah.
your get your anger out
Exactly, it was
simultaneously. I
great.
love that. Wow, therapeutic.
Exactly, so it really worked in 2 ways. So after I made them for the girls in my support group, I said, "Well, I'm gonna make them for local people in the hospitals that lose their babies." So I did
Oh
that, I
my
got hooked up with
gosh.
the 4 hospitals, I gave them all my information, and then moms could contact me, um,
Yeah,
and just, like, get a free necklace. It was just kind of like a remembrance thing. The bigger
I
thing that
love
came
that.
out
Oh
of
my
it
gosh.
yeah, it was really cool, but the bigger thing that's come out of it now is this pink and blue bracelet thing.
Mhm.
It's hard to explain, and I was actually just telling a friend, I'm like, "I don't even know how to explain it in like a fast way," but so October is Pregnancy
Mhm.
and Infant Loss Awareness Month,
Which is coming
and
up. Yep.
yep, it's coming up real quick.
Yep.
And I found that out like shortly after I lost Cooper. And you know how people make like ribbons, right? Like breast cancer
Yeah,
awareness,
yeah, yeah.
pink. And like I found out that pink and blue is pregnancy and infant loss.
Mhm.
So the first month or the first October after I lost Cooper, I made myself a bracelet. And I said, anytime anyone asks me about it, I'm just going to talk about Cooper. And it's just a way
Yeah.
to mention my baby. That's all you wanna
Yeah.
do after you lose a baby, like, at least all I wanted to do. I just wanted to tell people about him, like,
Mhm.
I was pregnant for 9 months. I can't hide that, like,
Yeah.
it's not so I just wanted to tell people about that,
Nor
and
should you. Yeah.
yeah. So a couple friends, a couple family members wanted one of those bracelets too. So I said, okay, this is kind of cool. So I made bracelets for everybody and
Mhm.
then we all wore them that year and I thought that was it. And then next year people were like, well, where's the bracelets? We want to wear them again. So basically it
So
just got
wait, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop you really quick. What
yeah.
year did you lose Cooper?
So I
When was
lost
his
them in
birthday?
2016,
Okay, in what month was it?
June.
Okay. So
So
then come October is when you
October, it
start.
was really just, like, me and, like, my family wearing them
Mhm.
that month, and then, like, the next year is when I, like, put it on Facebook, "Does anyone wanna wear a bracelet?" And I
Yeah.
made, like I can't remember, really small, 60 maybe bracelets, and people wore them. And then every year since then, it's kind of blown up a lot more.
Mhm.
So where I have, like, just hundreds of volunteers now, and they make bracelets and send them in, and then we send them out, and I have people that set up their whole kitchens to pack and ship
Oh my
bracelets, and
gosh.
it's kind of become a really cool thing. I mean, I know
It's
it's
so
like
cool to watch on I have to
yeah.
say, like, watching you on social media, it's a phenomenon. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a cool thing, and it's beautiful. It's super cool to
Oh,
watch.
thank you. I gotta send you a bracelet, huh?
I grabbed one,
You do?
well, because they put them out at the doctor's office.
Yes, yes.
So, at the group I go to, I know that you're close with one of the doctors there just because of
Okay.
social media I've seen, and I saw the bracelets at the front desk when I was there when I was pregnant
Yeah.
for Ruby a couple years ago, so I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I had one, and
Oh,
I
that's
actually
great.
still have it, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. It's
but
cool
I'll
because
take more.
yeah, a lot of the I actually have, like, 5 people coming over Thursday night to pack and ship, like, 100 different orders for businesses that
Oh my
requested them.
gosh.
So this is just, like, businesses or doctor's offices that want, like, a packet with,
Yeah.
like, a big display of bracelets for their office.
S So how many do you think like, this year, do you know about how many bracelets you're sending out?
Yeah, that we had, I know we had over 40,000 made,
Oh
and
my gosh.
about, like, 20,000 are ordered right now. So, we're about halfway, and I have, like, what, 2 weeks?
It's beautiful. It's like I'm getting emotional because
Yeah.
this is it's I hate to say, like, I don't wanna be like, "Well, this is Cooper's purpose," because I don't wanna minimize the fact that you don't have your baby.
Yeah, no.
But
I
this is like it's incredible, Jen, like, what you're
yeah,
doing and the lives you're touching just by not only raising awareness, but helping women feel like they have a voice and that their babies have a
yeah,
voice just by wearing the bracelet and talking about it. It's such
yeah.
a gift.
Well, thank you. It's honestly that is the reason because I've been told so many times, like, I felt like I couldn't talk about my baby or
Mhm.
I felt like I, just couldn't share that I had a miscarriage. It's taboo to talk about. And like that was the biggest thing. Like it says right on the cards that go with it. Like it says, why do you wear a bracelet? To raise awareness, to spark
Mhm.
conversations, reduce stigma, and to help others feel less alone.
I
So
love it.
it's really because it creates community. It lets women talk and
Yeah.
it you feel better if you're able to talk about the pain that you've been through.
Sure.
So
Yeah. It's just incredible. My cousin recently lost her son, and she, for her shower, had all these bears.
yeah.
And hopefully she'll give me permission to tell this story, so I'll check with her before I air this, but I'm
Yeah.
sure she won't mind. She had all of her shower, she had, like, a teddy bear theme, and so she
Yeah.
had all these bears that her mom had bought to put on the tables,
Mhm.
and so when she lost her son, she had all these bears, and she's like, "What do I do with them?"
Mhm.
And so she started something called Luca's Light, where she asks for people she took the bears she had and brought them to one of the local hospitals to hand out to moms that were losing children.
Yeah. I
And
love it.
she has started every year. taking donations to purchase additional bears and bring them to the hospitals so that the hospitals have those so that everyone basically I think, Nicole, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but so that you don't have to go home empty-handed. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's just again this beautiful outpouring of I see you.
Yeah.
Nothing replaces your baby, of course, but just that you're not just leaving feeling like no one cares, you
Yeah, and
know?
when
And
you're
so
in
it's
in that
just
hospital room, like, you're in a hospital room, you're alone, and your baby's dead, like, someone, like, giving you something that
Mhm.
has been there before you, I mean, it's very, very meaningful,
Of
so
course, yeah.
it's the fact that, like, she's doing that with the bears or,
Mhm.
other people have done, like, books, like, a lot of
Sure.
moms do that, and it's really helpful to those who've never experienced loss, and then all of a sudden they're just in it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think it's healing for the moms that have gone through it, like yourself and like
Yeah,
Nicole and others that do things like that. There's healing in being able to provide that for someone else as well. So
yeah,
the people receiving it obviously are being blessed by it, but then even being able to do that and extend your love and prayers to somebody else is like is in turn healing for you, I bet.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point, just like in building community so that
Mhm.
women feel less alone, feel
Yeah,
I don't even know, less alone is the only way I can put it because
yeah,
it's isolating to go through that kind of grief, I would
sure.
imagine.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
feel like, "How could anybody ever understand what I'm feeling?"
Yeah. It's so hard, and I feel like even a lot of, like, miscarriage moms especially, like, you haven't told people you're pregnant yet, so it's, like, very
Right.
easy to just internalize everything
Mhm.
and and feel like you can't tell people about it, and that's just,
Yeah.
like that's really sad. I just I actually got an email from someone the other day, and she said, "Hey, I heard about your project. I had a miscarriage in 1962,
Oh
and
my
I never
gosh.
talked about it one time, and,
Ugh.
like, still it's still she still remembers, and it's still, like, painful to her because she was never able to talk about it." So,
Oh
it's
my
just like
gosh.
yeah, can you and back in they really didn't talk about it, like
I think that's part of the problem. Our
yeah,
parents came out of that generation, so it's like
yeah,
nobody was trying to hide information from us, but certainly it feels like and now that we are a little bit more aware and our generation is talking about it more and
yeah,
obviously with technology we're talking about everything all the time
aren't
online,
we?
but
Yeah,
I do think that that's it's part of it, right?
yeah,
That's just not the way life worked back then. You didn't talk about
sure.
those things. And so
Yeah, 100%.
I'm
Yeah,
thankful for the awareness now.
yeah,
I'm thankful that I can have those conversations with my girls and my sons. Just,
yeah,
hey, this is part of life. This happens more often than you think. And when they're of that age, and I want to be able to support them and encourage them. And it's you don't want anybody else to go through it, but certainly
yeah,
the awareness is a big piece.
yeah, for sure.
So I do have a question. I want to go back to kind of in that season or shortly thereafter when you lost Cooper, and even now 9 years later.
Mhm.
How how was your husband through that? Because I think sometimes the dads get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah,
Everybody focuses on the mom, and of course, I think that's appropriate. I think
yeah,
we carry so much physically and emotionally and spiritually, but the dads have a really big role in this too.
yeah,
And how was he through that? How is he now? I know he's a pastor,
yep,
so I know faith probably played a big role, but
yeah.
how did he manage being there for you and managing his own emotion through it?
That is a great question. And so basically, like he was excellent to me. Okay, so he
Sure.
was just I was a mess for a good year, and he just was patient with me. He was understanding. He would do whatever ridiculous thing I wanted to do, like let's go release balloons, let's
Yeah.
go. But but we saw a couple years later that that was actually, like, not beneficial to him. So basically the way he handled it was, "I'm going to take care of my wife, I'm gonna take
Mhm.
care of my family," but in his mind, it just shut down, like, it didn't happen. Like,
Mm,
he really didn't, like obviously, he was sad and, like, very, very, very sad. He lost his baby, but he just, like, couldn't process that because I think he just went into, like, husband mode and was like, "I'm
yep.
gonna just take care of everything." And, that's really how it was, and he never really had, like, a faith doubting moment, like, he walked through it with
Mhm,
me. We actually had so he's a pastor, right now
mhm.
he's like a support pastor, not a lead pastor. At that time, he was a lead pastor. We
Okay.
had a church plant that we had done
Oh my gosh.
in Brighton, so it was very difficult to, like,
Yeah.
small starter church to keep that up and running, and, so that was difficult, but what we found, like, a couple years down the road, it
Mhm.
really caught up with him, like, him not
Mm.
dealing with the pain, the grief, like, him shutting down,
Sure.
it caught up with him later, and, he had, like, he got in a car accident a couple years ago, and he was fine, but he had, like, a problem with his hip where he had to have surgery, he was in pain, like, a
Oh my
lot,
gosh. Yeah.
and from that, like, he struggled with some, just depression, and out of that also came, like, he was, like, angry, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say any of
Yeah.
this, but a lot of
Check with him.
it.
I can cut it out. Check with him first. Let me know.
Yeah, but he, like,
But still.
did some counseling at that point, and a lot of it was that he still had, like, undealt grief, like, he hadn't dealt with his grief,
Sure.
and it just kinda came back for him, so he will say now, like, he's dealt with it and he's doing very well now, but
Mhm.
he'll tell people now if they're a man dealing with loss, like, "Look, you need to do some work and try to deal with this now because it's going to come back, and it's like, it doesn't go away, so
Sure.
you have to do your best to deal with it," and I appreciate so much, like, how he, like, was there for me and he really got me
Mhm.
through and was, like, the rock of our family,
Yeah.
but it just it probably him dealing with it better back then
Yeah,
would have been
sure.
good, but he didn't know how, you know? So
Yeah, and I would imagine that even now, and again, this kind of points to like, okay, but we can find some purpose or make good out of it in that
yeah,
he recognizes that this is something he's able to counsel other people through now, right? And to
yeah,
say,
yeah,
hey, if you're dealing with this, or hey, did you deal with this and now it's coming out? I mean, he can
yeah,
relate in so many ways to others. I'm sure that lends itself to good conversation
mhm,
and helping a lot of men that go through this and walk through this recognize maybe things that they
yeah,
wouldn't otherwise recognize as grief,
yeah,
or think like, "Oh, I'm okay to have feelings about this too." You can
yeah,
still be supportive of your wife and your family while, prioritizing your own mental health and your own
yeah,
sanity as well and your
yeah,
emotional well-being because if you aren't holding it together, no one's going to hold it together.
yeah,
We know that as moms that if we're not
right,
taking care of ourselves, we can't help our children. It's the same thing for our husbands, for our marriages and our kids. So I think it's an important conversation. I can't speak firsthand to it because I'm not a man, but
yeah,
I do know that, it of course affects them and it's not talked about as often. And I think it should
yeah,
be. I think it's something that, they need to feel safe in grieving and safe
mhm,
to have feelings of depression or fear or anger or whatever those things are and
yeah,
work through them rather than bottle them up for whatever reason, right?
yeah,
So I'm glad to hear that he's able to kind of work has been able to work through that, but what a blessing I'm sure that is for conversation he's able to have with other men
yeah,
now.
and he even says, like, when he was he's been a pastor a lot of his adult life, and he just said that right after we lost Cooper, like, "I didn't know that you could experience pain like this," and it
Mm,
really gave him, like, more of a understanding of what people in church could be going through, like, what you could be
yeah.
walking through on a daily basis, and you have no
Mhm.
idea what people are going through, not just pregnancy loss, but,
Right.
like, just anything. So that
Mhm.
I know, like, finally dealing with that pain gave him a greater understanding and made him better at his job because you can
Sure.
have empathy for people,
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
That's
not that
that's incredible. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
My husband, and this has nothing to do with, pregnancy loss or infant loss, but my husband in his former life and former job used to sell paper.
Okay.
And
Dunder Mifflin?
but I tell him that all the time. He was, the original Dwight Schrute. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but he hardly, if you know Joe, he is hardly Dwight Schrute. More Jim, maybe Jim.
He's Jim. I see him as
Yeah,
Jim, yeah.
Jim. Anyways, he's gonna kill me for that reference. But his biggest client was the hospital. So he used to
Okay.
go to the hospitals all the time. I promise I have a point.
Yeah.
And so I remember when we first started dating and, I forget, why it came up, but something about like road rage or, you're driving in the road and this whole conversation of you never know what people are dealing with, right? There's so many
Yeah.
memes and things you see, like you never know what somebody's dealing with. And it stuck with me. We've been married 10 years together, almost 11 or 12 now. But this was in the beginning of our relationship. It stuck with me because he said when he worked at the hospital, every time he'd pull in and out of the parking garage and the parking lot and around the hospital, there was always somebody, frantically driving in or out or
Yeah.
angry or upset and he's like, and I just realized, I'm sorry if I'm botching this, Joe, but he told me then he realized that, everybody really is dealing with pain that you can't see.
Yeah.
And all of those people that are in and out of the hospital are likely dealing with a crisis of
Yeah.
some magnitude. They're losing someone they love. Somebody's, their child or their parent or their
Yeah.
spouse or their best friend is in the hospital for nothing good, right?
Yeah.
So typically, right, if they're upset. And so he's like, I would see that in the parking lot, in the parking garage, and you get a mile outside of the hospital, 5 miles outside of the hospital, 10 miles outside. And as you're driving, you don't know who's coming or going from a hospital. You don't know what anyone is dealing with. So that always stuck with him. And then in
Yeah.
turn, that story always stuck with me because it's just so true.
Yeah,
That was
that's
a really
great.
long way to explain that you don't know
No.
what other people are dealing with, but that always just really stuck with me. And then when I was in the hospital last summer with my daughter, same thing.
Yeah.
It reminded me of him telling me that because now I was the person that was a disaster driving through and just everything I was on edge
Yeah.
and it's a constant reminder kind of in the back of my mind that
Yeah.
all of the angry people on the road or all of the sad people on the road that they're dealing with something that we
Yeah.
can't see.
That's such a good way to put it. I love that. I love that story. I'll remember that now.
He can tell it better than me. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
get him on here. But basically, I think I got the gist of it. But yeah, I mean, and it's such a telling, well, I don't know if that's not the right word, but it's such a like synopsis of this whole issue of pregnancy and infant loss because
Yeah.
like you said, you carried this child for 9 months and you have no baby for people to dote on at the end of it. You have
Yeah.
no child here to talk about it, but you carry that with you.
Yeah.
And it's what you do with that pain, think that, it's important.
Yeah.
And the work you're doing is just such a beautiful blessing to so many people. And I was so happy you agreed to come on the podcast because when I saw what you were doing and this is such an important topic to me and so many others, I really wanted you to be able to share your story and also get the
Yeah.
word out about the Cooper project. And are
Yeah.
people still able to get bracelets and
Yes.
participate? I know we're close to October, but what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are so close to October. What is that? September 16th, but
Mhm.
people can still order bracelets. So if you are listening, I know there's millions of subscribers.
Roar.
Yes, but no, you can still order a bracelet from my website. They are free and you log on, you order a bracelet and it gets shipped to you by one of my amazing volunteers.
That's awesome.
And we just have people wear them the whole month of October. So you keep the
Mhm.
same bracelet on the whole month of October.
Okay.
And just to think of the 1 in 4
So
women who
cute.
have had a pregnancy or infant loss, miscarriage, stillbirth, infant loss.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, one other question about it
Yeah.
because I want people to get the bracelets. So log on, sign up, follow you on Instagram, all the
Yeah.
things. I'll link to everything.
Okay.
But how do you fund all of this? Do you need donors? How can we help you other
Yeah,
than make bracelets?
it is a donation-based awareness project.
Okay.
We do well, everything is free, and what
Mhm.
we'd rather have is, like, if people just as many people as possible wearing bracelets, we do take donations. So there is a link in
Okay.
the order form where you have that option if you want it. Um, so
And where does
obvious
that money funds, like, supplies,
yeah,
mailing?
so the biggest cost we have is shipping, and
Sure.
postage has gone up every single year, it's insane now,
Mhm.
so, it costs us about $3 per bracelet to ship, so we have amazing donors that give money, and that covers people who aren't able to give, but,
Mhm.
if everybody gives, like, a couple bucks, that helps, but really, we just
Yeah.
want as many people as possible to wear them.
Okay.
Yeah.
$3 per bracelet?
Yeah, because there's postage,
Yeah. Packaging?
materials are included, envelopes, just
Wow.
yeah, that's just it's an estimate, but yeah,
Sure, sure. No,
it's
I
around
understand.
there. And then
But
we
if people want a bracelet, they can sign up and get one for free, no cost to them, no
100%.
donation
We
required.
we
Okay.
have thousands we send without it nobody gives anything, and that
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you
Yeah.
for just like for shining Cooper's light and continuing that.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to come out here, talk about him, talk about the bracelets.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see what you're doing and, be a part of that.
Thanks, but I'm really here just to be able to share people like you and your heart, and I'm gonna log on and get my bracelet this year, and
Yeah.
hopefully all of my friends listening will too, and anybody that's interested in donating, I hope they do that because it's a beautiful cause, and these moms and these babies deserve to be seen, and I'm grateful for what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry. I will stop getting emotional. I swear I've cried on every single episode.
Oh, I love it.
Ah! Anyway, thank you so much. And
Yeah.
through the month of October we'll be seeing those bracelets and all through the year. I just
Yeah.
want to say, you can wear your bracelet anytime. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
So
Yeah, they wear them year round.
good. Thanks, Jen.